Welcome back to Mysterious Goings On. I am your host, Alex Greenwood. Hey, it's been a while. I guess that's becoming a theme every time I get around to doing a show. It's been a while. Been a long time. Are you alive, Alex? Good question to ask as we get closer to Halloween. Am I alive? Yes, I am alive. Feeling great. Health has improved dramatically since we last spoke. It was kind of scary and weird what happened, but I feel much better now, thank you. And I'm very excited to just kind of give you a quick rundown on this little episode of some things that are happening and things that I wanted to happen that aren't going to happen and some other stuff like that. So, without further ado, first things first, Big Cabin and Dispatches from the West is real. I'm holding it in my withered hands right now. It's out in paperback and an ebook. I'm holding the paperback right now, and it looks, if I say so myself, fantastic. 261 pages, novel and short story and essay and poetry and correspondence from my grandfather, the late Robert E. Trevathan. If you don't know the backstory, really quickly, the backstory is this. 25 years ago, I was editing a small town newspaper, and we had been serializing one of my grandfather's novels, Oklahoma Outrider, which had been published, I'm going to be wrong on this. I think it's Borrege and Sons published him. And he had been writing westerns, novels and short stories and stuff like that since the 50s, and being published by Criterion and some of the Avalon, some of the bigger publishers of genre fiction. Had a very nice career. He was winding down a little bit on his career. He was an historian by trade, and he just loved to write stories, in particular about establishment of the Oklahoma territories, southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, northwestern Arkansas, all the way down into parts of Texas. He loved this little slice of America, and he wrote about it a lot. And Big Cabin is no exception. Big Cabin is a manuscript he finished in I think around 91, and he was trying to get Avalon, his former publisher, interested in it, and obviously they didn't bite on that one. Westerns were kind of ebbing at that time, and he didn't have I don't think he even had an agent by that time, so he was kind of just working with him directly, is from what I understand. And he left me this manuscript because at my newspaper we were going to serialize it like we had done Oklahoma Outrider. We were going to serialize Big Cabin. Well, fate intervenes there. I think we might have been able to get one chapter published in the paper before we were bought out and closed by a concern. Basically, the newspaper was a weekly newspaper. It did really well, but the company that bought us only did what they were called shoppers back then. And that's like the things you'd get your hands would get all ink stained. It's like your penny post or something like that. So they bought us out and closed us down. So either we were getting ready to start publishing Big Cabin, or we started. I don't remember which, and I tried to find the last issue of the paper somewhere. It's probably in the library in El Reno, I would think. But the point being, a few months ago, I was going through stuff to move. We moved house a few months ago, and I found a box or two of my grandpa's papers that he left for me to take care of. And in there, I recalled, oh my gosh, this is I keep saying Oklahoma Outrider. This is Big Cabin. And I found it, and it was there in all its glory, this basically finished novel, except for one thing. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 was missing. And I was like, oh boy, okay. So it got lost in the shuffle with the newspaper, I can almost guarantee it. I imagine it was at one of our copy editors or copywriters' desk, and it just got thrown away when things got closed down. Things happen fast when you get closed. And so I had a kind of a quandary, and I thought, well, I can, in a way it's good. It was the first chapter. In a way it's bad. And it's bad because first chapter is the exposition. It begins the book, and there's all this stuff. So, but it's good in the sense that it's not in the middle or the ending. To me, it'd be harder to kind of create a middle or an ending piece. It'd be a lot of work. But so what I did was I read the manuscript as it was a couple of times, and made some changes here and there throughout it, and reconstructed to my best understanding of how the first chapter should be. Now, I don't remember what he wrote. I have no idea, and I don't know if it started the way I wrote it in his mind at all. But to me, we wanted to get in and start with some action that kind of is like if you're watching a movie, you're drawn into a movie when something pow, especially a Western, happens right off the bat. It's not just everybody's kind of drinking coffee and eating beans by the fire. It's something is happening. And that's what I went ahead and did. And I wrote that. And then I got that and I polished up some bits and pieces of the manuscript that I thought needed some work, some dialogue. Not too much, because I didn't want to take away his voice. And I know he worked with several editors at different publishers who would have done the same. But I just thought for the purposes of this situation, I would more or less leave it the way he wrote it. But again, just polished up some stuff. His dialogue in places was very expository. And I talked about that with my longtime editor, Robert Hayes Jr., who agreed to work with me on this and did his usual wonderful job, and very loving and caring for the project as almost as much as me. And by the way, if you want to learn about Robert, check out an episode of the podcast. I believe it was the one previous to this one, where he talks about his own drama in his real life. It's a fascinating interview, if I say so myself, so I think you ought to listen to that if you haven't heard it yet. Okay, so Robert and I are looking at it, and he and I go back and forth, and he had some great suggestions, and he polished up some stuff, and we got it to the shape that it's in. I got a hold of my buddy Jason McIntyre, who is a brilliant author, but also equally brilliant cover artist, and he did a bang-up job. I'm so touched by this cover he did. He just nailed it. I mean, it doesn't describe every event that happens in the book, but it captures what this is to me, because what he has here is you have two horses. One of them is a cowboy on one horse leading a riderless horse behind it. And in a way, that's how I feel about this book. Is my grandpa, who I lost in 2002. We're kind of leading this we're leading this horse into the ranch one last time without him. And it's emotional. It really is. So the cover really speaks well, I think, to what we were trying to do. So what it is, and I thought when I got into this with Big Cabin, I decided that we wouldn't just do Big Cabin, because I found one of his pulp fiction magazine stories from 1957. I bought it online. The magazine is called Ranch Romance. It's completely out of date, out of business. The rights are reverted to the family for the story, and I thought, well, I'm going to do this. So it's Cherokee Strip or Bust, which is about one of the Oklahoma land runs. And I'm going to tell you something. It's so interesting if you read Big Cabin, written basically the last novel he wrote before he passed away, and then you read Cherokee Strip or Bust, which was a lengthy short story he wrote and got published in 1957. I want to tell you, it's so interesting to see how the writing style changed a little bit. He was really good right out of the box in the 50s, but then you see in this last book, you see a maturity that comes to the writing, and he's patient with the material. It's really interesting to read. So I included that, and then I had all these files from the El Reno Light, where we had published not only his one of his books as a serial, but we had also published some essays he had done and some poems, and they're called Clara Hughes and some stuff like that. And I found these, and I went ahead and put them in here. And so you got about 262 pages of stuff, including a very nice editor's note from Robert, and a foreword that I wrote, and an afterword that I wrote. And it just says it all. I'll leave it to you to read it. It's Caroline Street Press is the publisher. You can get it exclusively at Amazon right now, or me. If you want an autographed paperback, just get a hold of me at pilotescross.com and click on the merchandise tab, and then just put in your order. All you have to do is put in how many you want, your information, and then if you want me to autograph it, I'll autograph it. If you have a special message you want me to write as a gift to someone, you need to let me know there at pilotescross.com. That's PILATESCROSS.com. And if you just want one for your Kindle, you can go to Amazon.com and just look for Big Cabin and Dispatches from the West. Robert E. Trevathan, Trevathan, with little old me, J. Alexander Greenwood. So, it's a handsome volume. It looks great. And Jason also didn't just do the cover, but he also did the interior design. And he did a magnificent job. And we've dedicated it to Velma, who was my grandmother and my grandpa's wife, obviously. And I'm not sure he ever dedicated any books to anybody. I never noticed that in any of his books. I think he just wrote them and that was it. There was no dedication. But I went ahead and dedicated this one to my grandma Velma, who my grandpa loved very, very much. And yeah. So, Big Cabin and Dispatches from the West. I never expected it to sell huge amounts. Westerns aren't everybody's cup of tea. But if you have somebody in your life who likes Westerns, if you want to learn a little bit about Oklahoma and Kansas history, particularly the railroads and what effect they had on establishing the new frontier, this is a great book. And it's got a lot of real people mixed in, Colonel Stevens, Stan Waddy, all these different people. My grandpa was really adroit at bringing his fictional characters in line with real people and being historically very correct, being an historian. So, Big Cabin. That's it. Big Cabin and Dispatches from the West. It's so great to put this out. And I got to tell you something. When I was looking up a lot of the pulp magazines, I found more than a dozen short stories published in Texas Ranger magazine and Ranch Romances and probably a couple of others. They're out of print. The only way to find them really is if somebody has a legit old copy of these things. So if you have a copy of Ranch Romances magazine or Texas Ranger or any kind of old pulp fiction magazine from the 50s, 40s and 50s that has usually a colorful cover on it, and it has a story by Robert E. Trevathan, Trevathan, or Trev Roberts, that's Trev Roberts. Man, I'd sure like to, if I can't buy it from you, at the very least, I would sure pay for your trouble if you could scan it and send it to me, the story. Because I had an idea that, since my grandpa's works are basically all out of print, and this is the first book that's ever been digital by my grandpa, it sure would be great if eventually all his stuff was digitally saved and put online. That's a big project. That would take me probably the rest of my life to do because it's expensive to scan and or hire transcriptionists to type everything out. But who knows? If one of these books sells really well, I might be able to afford to do that. It's all labor of love, and my grandfather was very good to me in my life. He was very, very kind to me, and it's the least I can do is to make sure that all this hard work lives on. Okay, that said, it obviously took me a little time to do all that. It took me longer as usual than I thought it would. So you may recall, if you're a frequent listener of the podcast, that I want to create a John Pilate omnibus edition. I want to reward all of our dedicated fans. We are a small but mighty group who love John Pilate and his world, and I wanted to create not only a new short story to kind of let you know where John is, but I also wanted to take all of the previous 6 books and put them together in a 2-volume printed set, calling it an omnibus edition, and put it out this Christmas. So essentially what it would be was we would take all the books, we would format them down into 2 volumes at least. It could be 1, but I think we'd rather, instead of having 1 big fat volume, we'd have a 2-volume set of paperbacks and offer them with a new cover. And you can guess who's going to do the cover. And you can guess who my editor will be on this too. And the idea was make it a Christmas gift. Well, I put so much time and effort and frankly invested so much money in getting Big Cabin done. There's just really no way I can do that with my work schedule and to work around the schedules of my team. There's just no way we're going to be able to do that for Christmas 2018. However, here's the thing. It's probably better to wait till next year anyway, and here's why. 1, it'll give me something to work on all next year and get it maybe ready to sell by Halloween of next year. And before you groan, just think of it this way, though. I like symmetry and things. Well, the first John Pilate novel, Pilate's Cross, was brought to market in December of 2009. Think about that. It was a paperback, it came out in 2009, and shortly after that it became an ebook, and it didn't initially live on Amazon. It lived at Lulu, and which is a kind of a independent press for people who want to do independent books, which if you're a fan, you know my whole saga with why I'm an independent author. And And then it had some issues, and we did a second edition later the next year in 2010. My point being, Cross Township and John Pilate were born in 2009. So next year, 2019, will be the 10-year anniversary of the series. And 10 years is a great time, I think, to stop and go, here's the whole series. It's all formatted in a couple of books, and here's a brand new short story to let you know where John Pilate is after the events of Pilate's Rose. What do you think? Can you wait just a little bit longer? I mean, I'll get to work on it probably in January, and I'll get Robert and Jason on it too. And if we can get it sooner, we will. My main aim, though, is because Pilate's Cross came out in December of 2009, is to go ahead and get it ready and on sale by Halloween of next year, and that way you get plenty of time for me to autograph copies for you or for your gifts for people. And if you're a John Pilate completist, this will be everything to date, and I mean it will be everything. And there might be some other surprises we'll slip in there as well. We'll just have to see about that. Okay, so the Omnibus Edition, which I have a title for, but I'm not going to give it away just yet. But I will tell you this, it likely will not be a Pilate's something. It won't be Pilate's Omnibus. You know how everything's Pilate's this, Pilate's that, and all that. I think Pilate has an issue with things being his. Anyway, that's another discussion for some other time. But it will not be Pilate's something or other. I think it will be blank, the title I've got in mind, and then the subtitle below that will be, a John Pilate Mysteries Omnibus. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm always happy to hear your feedback on this stuff. If you disagree or you have an idea or a question, just go to the John Pilate Mysteries Facebook page. Really simple. Just if you're not already on there, just go to John Pilate Mysteries Facebook and let me know what you think. Okay, so there's that. Well, this brings me to, let's see, I'm feeling better. The Big Cabin's been done. The Omnibus Edition update. Oh, be sure to keep an eye on the John Pilate Mystery page, because often we will be doing some free giveaways for Halloween. We have got some giveaways throughout the month of some of my horror short stories. Got a very nice review on Twitter from an author, from a writer I really respect, Terry Matz, who had not read Obsidian, which is my award-winning short story. It's a suspense and kind of a horror story. She had never read it. We've known each other for a long time, but she had never read it, and she wrote me a nice little Twitter review saying how much she enjoyed it and how I should write more horror. Well, I always feel like that around this time of year, not just because of Halloween, but there's something about the fall of the year and the lengthening shadows that we get that makes me, and just the end of living things for the cycle of the year. It always kind of brings me to horror, and I've got some ideas percolating for that. So I'll let you know if I get anything going with that. But the thing I wanted to say is be sure to check the John Pilate Mysteries Facebook page for information about freebies I'm giving out on on Amazon, and or just sales, things like that. So please check there periodically and give me a thumbs up once in a while. Let me know you're there. That reminds me that if you want a little Halloween treat, speaking of Obsidian, I would like to invite you to just do what you've done here, which is listen to the podcast, but go back to chapter 25. That was back in October of last year, where I read my short story, Obsidian. Here's the blurb. Catch a disturbing glimpse of the night with this multiple award-winning short story in the tradition of The Twilight Zone. A man awakens in a secluded cabin to find he's being watched by a shape with obsidian eyes. Who or what is watching him? And why? And as I said, it's a winner of the Shelf Unbound Wattpad 2011 Short Fiction Award and the April 2010 Writing Room Award. So I'm really, really proud of it. So go back here on the Mysterious Goings On to last year. Go to chapter 25 and give it a listen. It's a Halloween Treat is the name of the chapter. And here we're on chapter 33. We are talking about catching up. Last episode was chapter 32, Writing, Editing in Prison, as I mentioned previously with Robert Hayes. Please do listen. There's a lot of stuff with this podcast that I want to do. If you know nothing about me, at least know this. I'm full of good intentions, but I'm also extremely busy. I run my own business. I have a young daughter. I have a family. I work a lot, including weekends lately. I've got a client that keeps me very busy. I've not had a full weekend off 2 months, but it's been pretty heavy workload, and I'm just mentally fried usually, and it's hard for me to write. I'm no Jason McIntyre. I can't just open a vein like he does, and or Stephen King, and just write. I don't know how they do it. They just constantly writing, and I don't have that many good ideas. But I'd like to think when I do, they're decent. But so I've got some projects going on. One of the things I keep telling myself is, the podcast is a great way to communicate directly with people, and you can listen while you're doing other things. You don't have to stop everything and read what I'm saying. You can on the pilotscross.com blog called Clues. There's a little plug for that. Or on Facebook. But on here, you can just plug this in while you're exercising. And if you are, by the way, step it up a notch. Come on. Sweat. No pain, no gain. All right. Or whatever else you're doing. We're driving. I'm driving a lot more since we moved, so I'm listening to a lot more podcasts. And by the way, I have some recommendations for you in a minute. I want to do at least monthly, and I keep saying I will, and have all these wonderful people lined up who have already kind of asked to be on the show, just because I love to talk to creative people about, what they do. I've got a musician in mind. I've got another writer or two in mind. I've got an actor in mind. I've even got some other podcasters I've connected with. Some really nice people who just politely turned me away because they're so busy. Because I get it. Podcasting is a busy deal. I still love them, even though they said no. And, I try to support other podcasters. So that's why I'm going to just get around to this and say, I'm going to try like hell to podcast more for you. If we can just get a 26-hour day and a 3-day weekend every other month, that would be really great. And then maybe I can do this more. But I'm going to get myself on a schedule and start making this happen. I promise. Okay, speaking of podcasts, I recommend. Okay, especially for Halloween, I want to let you know of 3 or 4 shows I really love. One of them is The Retroist. If you're a child of the 80s, and I was not born in the 80s, but basically my formative years growing up, where pop culture was important to me, was the 1980s. Yeah, I'm old. The Retroist is a great, fun podcast that looks back at TV shows, games, pop culture phenomenons, food, restaurants, all sorts of stuff, remembrances of the 80s. It would make a hell of a book. This gentleman who does The Retroist, he should write a memoir, because he's got a delightful memory, and he's got kind of an interesting delivery, and has a lot of fun with his show. So The Retroist, I recommend that. And they're doing their annual Halloween special, which is not to be missed. It's so good. I'd also like to recommend, speaking of Halloween, Unmasked, which is a limited run podcast about one of the greatest horror films ever made, Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween, that is. It's just delightful. It's got interviews with John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, all these people, stories you may have heard about the making of this film. Some of them I had not heard yet. Just some great stuff, behind the scenes stuff about, and also just some wonderful things about why it's such a phenomenon. And the host, I believe, shares something in common with me. I think she went to OU. I went to graduate school at University of Oklahoma. I think she said in one of the shows that she went to University of Oklahoma. So there you go. She's a Sooner. That's a good thing. So listen to that one. That would be Unmasked. And you can find that on iTunes as well, like you can The Retroist. Another great show, and I've loved these guys since the beginning, it is Astonishing Legends. You may see me rocking an Astonishing Legends hat or t-shirt in a lot of my Instagram or Facebook posts. I love these guys. Forrest and Scott, they are doing the show that I wish I could do. In fact, they're doing a show that's very similar to, in a way, to one I did years ago called Simon's Groove that I did with my buddy Mike, and where we just talk about stuff that interested us. Well, what interests Forrest and Scott is spooky shit. It's the paranormal. It's weird history. It's strange science. These guys, and they've got a great rapport. Forrest has a wonderful voice. Scott is such a cool dude and a very caring individual. I've spoken to him offline many times. I won't even begin to tell you some of the sweet, nice things he's done for me, a guy he's never even met. I just love the show. It's called Astonishing Legends. I will tell you this, they go long. They go anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours or more on a subject, and they're not done at that point, but their episodes are lengthy, and they'll often do 2 or 3 episodes about stuff. Now, I'll be honest, sometimes they go off on tangents about stuff, and I'm just like, to me, it's a half hour. And then I'm like, really? We're going to go deeper on this? Okay. But they always make it entertaining and fun. They're doing, throughout October, their spooky, scary stuff, too. Although it's pretty spooky throughout the year. There's a couple episodes. Tell you what, if you're interested, hit me up on Facebook and ask me my favorite Astonishing Legends episodes, and I will give you a few that you need to listen to immediately. Make sure you check out Astonishing Legends. Scott and Forrest, and tell them, if you ever comment or give them a review, tell them Alex Greenwood sent you, would you? That's kind of how I started out with them. I started sharing about their show a couple of years ago on Twitter and other social media platforms, just to kind of let everybody know. And what's great about this is Scott and Forrest both acknowledge that and appreciate that. It gets kind of old when you help other people achieve their dreams and they can't even say thanks once in a while, but Scott and Forrest are not those people. They are really great. Check out Astonishing Legends. So we are talking about the Retroist, we're talking about Unmasked, and we're talking about Astonishing Legends, and it wouldn't be complete at Halloween if you did not go check out the Halloween Haunter. I've been listening to this guy forever, and he and I have kind of had some offline discussions too, and I was trying to get him to read Obsidian on his podcast, but it's just too lengthy and not quite right. But this is a very kid-friendly history of Halloween. The Halloween Haunter is a great character. He only comes around in October every year. This guy who does this has got great voice and does really fun stuff. It'd be a good one to listen to with the kids, even if not the kids, if you're just like me, you're a Halloween nut. Okay, and one bonus podcast that, if you're into home haunting, which I used to be a lot more, but as I get older and busier, I just don't have the time to do it as much as I used to. But if you're into home haunting or just are interested in how the haunt industry works, and you want to learn how to make cool props for Halloween, and you want movie reviews, you got to listen to Hauntcast. Now, I'll tell you, Hauntcast is really for the diehard Halloween haunter type, like I said, or people who love going to commercial haunted houses, that kind of thing. It's very inside baseball in a lot of ways. And I won't lie, the host, Chris Baker, he's probably not one for the kids to listen to this one. There's some language often, and there's some innuendo, and there's some outright just filthy jokes that go on. Not criticizing, just letting you know. I've actually been a sponsor of Hauntcast. I used to subscribe. Before there was a Patreon, I used to actually give, I was part of their subscription season they did that didn't really work out very well. And my company has advertised on their podcast here and there before too, for social media strategy for haunters. It was all right. Point is, it's a good one if you just want to get in that Halloween mood and listen to people who love Halloween. This is a good one for you to check out. So those are some great Halloween podcasts or fall themed podcasts, or just some general podcasts that you can listen to year round. I think you'll like. If you like them and you get in touch with them online, please tell them Alex Greenwood sent you. I'd love for them to know. Tell them you listen to Mysterious Goings On, and that they should really do me a solid and be guests on my show. How about that? Speaking of this show, if you want this show, you enjoy the show, and you use this show, and you want it to keep going, I can make it more of a priority if I just have a little more encouragement. I need some reviews on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts. Just go in and leave a few stars, a few kind words. You can say whatever you want. I love hearing Alex talk about writing. I love his guests, or I enjoy this, that. Go leave us 4 or 5 stars. That would really help on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It's very simple to do. Again, if you don't know how to do it and you want to do it, get a hold of me through the Facebook page. I will walk you through it. I promise. Okay, the usual stuff as we wrap up here. You can find all of the books on Amazon.com. You can find them. I'm going to be telling you right now, we're going to be phasing out a lot of the other outlets. We are just not getting anybody buying them virtually anywhere else but Amazon. So we're going to do some exclusivity deals with Amazon probably. I'll tell you more about that as it progresses, but just watch out. You're going to be, if you want some of the older books and stuff like that, they're going to be probably next year as part of the process of moving over to the Omnibus Edition. We're going to be moving a lot of the books that are available elsewhere over to Amazon. I hate to put our eggs in one basket, but Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla. And seriously, if you saw my sales, you'd see that about 90% of them or more worldwide are through Amazon. People just don't buy them through Barnes & Noble or Kobo or or even Apple like they used to. I mean, they did a few years ago, but lately it's just all Amazon all the time. All right. I am so happy to be in touch with you. Thanks for reading my books. I hope you'll get my grandpa's last book, Big Cabin. It's a labor of love. It means a lot to me. And every book I sell, I mean, we're not selling a ton, but every book I sell, I just think my grandpa, wherever he is somewhere in the universe, is smiling. And even if he's not, even if he has no clue, even if he's on a different plane of existence and has no idea it exists and doesn't care, it makes me smile. So thank you. All right, pilotescross.com is the blog and the merchandise. Just hit that tab to buy merch. And it's not just books. There's autographed books, but there's some other stuff on there, some fun stuff. You can go there. Also, don't forget John Pilate Mysteries on the Facebook. And I'm on the Twitter at @A_Greenwood. That's me on the Twitter. Follow me there. Connect with me there if you're on the big Twitter machine. This has been Chapter 33 of mysterious goings on. And I hope your Halloween is spooky fun. And you don't let all the bad crap going on in Washington, D.C. ruin your holiday season. But hey, we'll talk to you before the holidays even get rolling in a big way, I promise. Until next time, keep reading.
It's hosting season. And this hosting season, you can enter eligible New York Lottery draw game tickets with Collect and Win for a chance to win a $5,000 gift card to use at the Home Depot. So, enter today and make one of the most stressful times of the year a little easier.
The Home Depot is not a sponsor of this promotion. You must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. You must be 21 or older to purchase a quick draw ticket where alcoholic beverages are served. Please play responsibly. Enter by 1/7/20.
It's hosting season, which means it's too many people in the house season.
Can I sit on this? Nope.
Casserole burning in the oven season.
Anyone smell that? My yams!
And Aunt Meg giving advice season.
You should enter eligible New York Lottery draw game tickets with Collect and Win. You could win a $5,000 gift card to use at the Home Depot to make hosting a little easier.
Wow, Aunt Meg, that's actually great advice.
The Home Depot is not a sponsor of this promotion. You must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. You must be 21 or older to purchase a quick draw ticket where alcoholic beverages are served. Please play responsibly. Enter by 1/7/20.